think I got it. Let me make sure I can hear myself. For sure, for sure. Peace and love. Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. It's your brother. Isaiah again with another one for all the conscious brothers and sisters in the conscious community keeping the struggle. Because we know that it's through the struggle that we grow. Also, I like to say, hey man, it's a slow process, progress. And the race ain't to those that are swift, it's to those that remain dutiful, who stay in it for the long haul. Y'all already know I don't Alpha League with advice or any of that thing. We just bring in truth. We spitting pure facts through this thing. You know, I don't offer legal advice. I just give to you education and information about things that I've learned throughout my walks, throughout my travels, throughout this extensive journey called life. And I like to extend my honors to you because when you're honoring men and women, you most definitely are honoring yourself. Let's give adoration to the all in all powers, all greatness, all goodness, all things that exists because we know that that power is great, and whatever you want to, however you want to, try to comprehend what it is. Uh, some of us give it a name. We might call it Allah. Some of us might call it uh, Yahshua. Some people might call it, people call it all kinds. Some people might say Jesus. It's all powerful. It's so many different views, but you got to make sure that uh, you have the right understanding. I like to view that higher power as a lot, and I like to say that through those teachings, that information, it's like when you think about it, in essence, I've been reading some things, right? Uh, and some of the things that I've been reading, it's giving me a different look on a lot of different things. You know what I'm saying? And about mind conditioning, uh, what they call it, circumventing, like boxing people into a particular way of understanding life, religion, belief, God, creator, whatever, so forth, so on, right? All these things can be used against you if you're not careful, if you don't understand what's going on. So that's why the journey don't stop. You might start off here, but as you continue to grow, you never know where you may end up in this vast journey we call life. But and I like to give honors and adoration to all uh prophets, messengers, all the great people that's come before all of us, uh, who's given their life, their dedication, uh, their efforts to uh, seeing the fulfillment of God's purpose take place. I mean, I don't believe that anybody that goes out in righteousness died in vain. I believe that they continue to live in righteousness. And when righteousness is spoken of, they will always be spoken or heard under righteousness, like a internal uh, thing, like you writing yourself in history, you know. But I've been reading some stuff, I've been going over some stuff, and I've been really privileged to having my eyes open to seeing things from a very, very different perspective. You know, have you ever considered that, like, if you go to court, right, and you go in there and you talking to the magistrate, right? All right. Remember, I told you that they were titles. Now, certain things that we may not know that we may need to learn. But did you know that if you acknowledge that he's your honor, you're saying you're inferior to him? That's an inferior term. You know what I'm saying? When I say your honor means that you're standing beneath him. So you're putting yourself in an inferior position just based off the way you're engaging the conversation. So if God made you or the creator put you as a supreme being, right? Then you should be able to stand in a supreme status with any other supreme being. Doesn't matter. See what I'm saying? So, yeah, I've been reading some stuff, man. I've been really, digging in because, like you start off religion, you know, I done been through many schools of thoughts, Christianity, Islam. I studied the Mormons, studied the five percenters. I've studied with they call them the Hebrew Israelites. I've even studied with the Wiccans. Uh, I've studied with what they call them, the Buddhists. Uh, Many different, denominations, religious beliefs, the Catholics, so forth, the non-denominational Christians, and so forth. I took a course. It was religious tolerance. So we had to tolerate each other's religious beliefs. So we studied with each other. We went to their service. They had to come to our service. We get to ask questions. They get to ask questions to our uh, uh, keynote speaker or whatever. It was a very great, very mind opening program, and I really learned a lot. I really gained a lot from it, uh, in understanding the different beliefs or the core principles that they all have. So, like when I'm up here and I'm teaching and I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. This is bigger than this commerce. Like a lot of y'all look at it like people just hustling and trying to get money. You got to understand something. Everybody on here, that ain't why we here. You know what I'm saying? Some of us really are on a divine mission and have a divine purpose and to fulfill what that purpose is. Some of us are still discovering our purpose. You see what I'm saying? As we grow. See, you looking at just, commerce and stuff. You think that that's going to be forever? That brother, I said I'm gonna be doing that forever. Just keep trying to help people forever, just trying to teach. Eventually, that's going to fade out. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be on other avenues. See, so while the getting was good and you had the opportunity to get in, you should have got in because everything don't last forever. What you thought it was gonna last forever, it was gonna continue forever. You might be able to watch some of the videos and stuff that still might be circulating, but as far as engagement directly, all that stuff might eventually dissipate because life goes on. And then I got other things I got stored for self in my life. So, my help, my extension to the people is what I've done. You see what I'm saying? Now you have to take that and be able to utilize that and continue your growth, continue your development so that you can have the things you desire. You seek and you shall find. You knock, the door opens and you ask, and I definitely can tell you, you will receive, but you got to ask the right questions. This is what you make it. Whatever you want it to be is what it will become, and the worst thing to do is not grow in knowledge and wisdom. The worst thing we can do is not have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And the lack of knowledge most definitely will keep you subservient. And I promise you that, like, the most important thing you can have is information. I promise you. It ain't so much about trying to say, I get a rent. It's about having information in your possession. Because when you got it, you can read it, you can study it, you can use it, you can get a thorough, grip over what you're doing with it. But when you don't have it, you searching, you seeking, you still trying to figure out what you need to do. You trying to find out how I can get something done. You still got to find information. Then you run across somebody, he dropping jewels. Look, did you know the government was giving out $50,000? But all you got to do is you got to learn this process. Now you're thinking like, wait a minute, I got to look into this. What is he talking about? See, he giving you hope. He giving you some kind of, you see? But at the same time, you got to understand, man, this thing is very, very, very serious that you give your life a purpose, that you give purpose to your life. If you become ordinary person, just ordinary, nothing extraordinary, nothing about you, you're just an ordinary, you're expendable. Serve no real purpose for real. So giving yourself purpose, giving yourself meaning, becoming a person of, see, man, you have superior persons and you have inferior persons. It is what it is. And most inferior persons, when they're dealing with a superior person, feels inferior to that person when they're in that person's presence, right? Your expression of who and what you are is very important, man, because you don't need to be inferior to anyone. See, when you read these books and they talk about not wearing titles and stuff like that, because titles give people power, man. I read some stuff that said that a person doesn't have power until he's given an office. It says an office gives you special powers that you wouldn't have until you became a holder of that office. Now you got special powers to do special things. So I started thinking about that. I was like, man, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. And it makes it adds up to why they always want to be in office. They always want to hold office of attorney, office of the prosecutor, office of the clerk. See what I'm saying? Hey, listen, man, listen, I'm reading some stuff so cold. Listen, look, let me show you something. Let me share my screen. Oh, man. Oh, man. Check it out. Check it out. We're going to get to the bottom. Hold on, let me find where I was at. All right, so this is what I read. I'm looking, I've been doing a little research. I've been studying. So when I be studying, I like be up early. You gotta be up before creation. There ain't no way the birds and everything up before me. Nah, we ain't doing that. Hey, look, check it out. So I be up, I get up, and I be digging in. So when I dig in, I come across some stuff, right? Have you ever heard of a legal spell curse system? Hold on, let's read a little bit. A legal spell curse system encompasses various spells and rituals aimed at influencing legal outcome positively. Here are some key elements. 20 spells for legal success. This includes spells like courtroom success spell. What the hell is a courtroom success spell? So you mean to tell me these people practicing rituals? They practicing spells and rituals on us before they even bring us in the courtroom. Hold up. And truth revelation spells, which are designed to boost confidence, clarity, and likelihood of a favorable verdicts. Court case spells. What? Man, listen, man, I'm reading this blew my mind, man. These spells aim to enhance chances of success, protect against legal issues, and secure favorable judgment, and may involve ingredients like candles, herbs, and crystals. So you got people doing these rituals before they go to court. You got courtroom rituals for verdict outcomes. Like, and a lot of people don't believe that this stuff is real, but it gotta be some realness to it now. Spiritual healing. Some practitioners use spells like cleansing negative energy and restoring spiritual balance. Can help navigating legal challenges. Now, I believe that you can do things to help you have confidence to deal with the gruesome, evil, deceptive, legal bullcrap that they be coming up with, trying to arbitrate nature and natural law. See what I'm saying? Trying to bring you into some type of legal world where you're dealing in some type of, instead of talking about natural things, positive law, natural law first. You see what I'm saying? Coming in, just regulating persons without, knowing who's all in the courtroom and all this old crazy stuff, rituals and curses. And rituals can serve as a form of accountability for deceivers, allowing individuals to release negative influence and seek justice. These practices emphasizes a blend of traditional rituals with modern ethical consideration, advocating for a harmonious balance between mystical practice and legal strategies. See what I'm saying? So we don't even be knowing, because I know a lot. We ain't doing that. I ain't never been in no household with my people or my family or my partners or anybody I know was doing rituals in courtrooms and courtroom rituals. So who's doing this? You know what I'm saying? You may have some people, some families that practice this type of stuff, but who's doing this? All right. I just want you to think, who's trying to create an illusion? Who's trying to enforce a fictitious obligation? Who's, you know what I'm saying, trying to deceive and manipulate a natural person? Who's doing that? Okay? Because we know who it is. Now look, let me go back. Show you how I've been reading, right? So in the canon 1615, it says that an inferior person, such as a Roman person, is a person created by a legal spell curse system. All right, so we're gonna look this up, right? I'm gonna show you how Brother Isaiah get down. Legal curse system. A Roman person. Let's look this up. A Roman person is a legal fiction created through the legal spell curse system, particularly associated with a former Roman death code. This concept emerged in the late 16th century and is often used to corrupt the nature of law in reality, substituting physical individuals as a higher order life form under the control of various entities. An inferior person, such as a Roman person, is considered the lowest standing and weakest form of a valid person, unable to claim superiority over others, including superior persons and divine persons. Talk to me, man. What is this? What is this? Oh my God, man. We opened up a can of whoop. Look, did you see what I'm saying? So a legal fiction is a Roman person. Wow. An inferior person. So they use these Roman persons to trap, right? So a Roman person, which is a legal person, is used, right? Right here it says, it's often used to corrupt the nature of law. So first thing we got to understand that a legal person is not designed to help you. It's designed to corrupt the nature of law in reality. So instead of dealing with you in reality for who you really are, they corrupting the nature of who you are by trying to identify you as something, as a Roman person, rather than who you are in reality, a man or a woman created by an act of God. See, so when you understand what's happening and why you got to study to really unlock the mystery of what's going on, right? This concept emerged. It emerged in the late 1600s, right? And then it says substituting physical individuals. So this legal fiction spell curse system that they didn't create it, okay, issuing out identities of legal fictions to replace or substitute the real man or the real living organism, right? They call it higher order life form. It's called a sixth higher order life form. I want you to look that up. Look up what is a sixth higher order life form. Look it up. Because this is things that they don't teach you. When I say they've been hiding information from you, you know what I'm saying? I'm dead serious. They've been hiding things from you, but everything that's hidden in the dark eventually shall come to the light, right? So we ain't gonna worry about that. All we gotta do is trust in God, trust in the divine, right? Well, I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna show you something, boy. Check it out. Now, an inferior person, such as a Roman person, is considered the lowest standing and weakest. So if you're operating as a person, you're in the lowest, the weakest form of valid person. You're not even valid. Unable to claim superiority over others. All right, now let's go back. Hold up. Let's go back. Now, this system of the Roman court, also known as the Vatican, also known as the Roman Catholic Church, for which they falsely claim ultimate ownership, not only of the person, but associated flesh, mind, and soul. Let that ruminate for a minute. Let it sink in for a minute. Okay? I want it to sink in for a minute. Man, that's deep, man. Let's read that again, man. That's deep. An inferior person, such as a Roman person, is a person created by a legal spell curse system of the Roman code, also known as the Vatican, also known as the Catholic Church, for which they falsely claim ultimate ownership not only over the person, but associated flesh, mind, and soul. Damn. Man, you better wake up. I'm trying to tell you. An inferior person is by its very definition inferior to an official person. So when you go to court, you're dealing with what? Huh? They call them court what? Officials. We getting somewhere today, baby. We're gonna learn something today. You know, make sure you like, make sure you share the live out, man. Share it out, man, because your brother on fire. See, they gotta keep up with me. See what I'm saying? They gotta keep up with the brother, okay? So, and we ain't talking about commerce today. So for all your haters that's on there, oh, this and that, you can't do that today. We giving out real knowledge, real truth today on a whole divine level. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna tie it into that. See, you ain't gonna keep being able to run because we got something higher than what you call the Bible, what you call your Holy Quran. I got something that I'm gonna show you something. I got something directly from heaven. Directly from heaven before it was even, it was recorded in heaven first before it was recorded here on earth. And I got it. I got it. Yeah. Hey, listen. And my students got it. Recorded. Where was it recorded? In heaven. Then it was recorded on earth. Why this was first before all this other stuff they made up? Right? An inferior person is, by its very definition, inferior to an official person, which is lesser in standing than a true person, which is lesser in standing than a divine person. An inferior person can never be considered superior to a divine person. Therefore, no law based in inferior persons can never be lawful, considered equal or higher than these canons. So it's all about how you identify which person you are. Are you a divine person? Hey, listen, I'm just gonna get into it. So, an inferior person, right? So, an inferior person, let's look this term inferior person up, because I want you to understand something, okay? I don't want to confuse you. Trust me, brother, sister, that's not mine. I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm trying to enlighten you, maybe take you to a higher level of understanding. Why don't you come join me? Come join Build a Better Minds, because we said that we was building better minds, man, for a new future for the people, man. So if you really want to get involved to really understanding this thing, man, tell them you tap in with me, man. Check it out now. Inferior adjective of little or less importance, value, or merit. Of low or lower degree or rank or poor quality. Medium. Situated lower down, lower. Situated below another, especially another similar superior part of an upright body. inferior person. I know you don't see yourself as that, right? You don't see yourself as an inferior person, do you? But do you stand under, an official person? Let's look up official person. Because it says an inferior person is by definition inferior to an official person. So I'm just trying to teach you so you can see it for yourself. Okay. An official person is someone who holds an office or a position of authority with an organization or a government. This includes elected officials, appointed officers, and public officials who perform specific duties on behalf of the government. The term can also refer to individuals in corporate settings, such as CEOs and board members, to make decisions that affect their organization. Officials' actions are recognized by law and carry legal weight, making them significant in various contexts, including legal documents and government operations. So, are you superior or are you inferior? I ask you again. Let's get to it. Because when we're going to find out what the hell is wrong and what's going on, right? Now you know why everybody want a damn office, right? So it's a person who holds an office of whether he carries an actual working space, right? In an organization or government, and participates in the exercise of authority, right? Either through their own or that of their superior or employer, public or legally private. So if I got an organization and my organization has a legal team, or what we call, say if we call it a legal protection team, and in our legal protection team, they had weapons, they had certain badges that our company gave out, said that they had to go through certain trainings and certain gun range shooting in order to be officers. And if they met those qualifications based off the organization's orders, then we had the right to issue them badges, guns, or whatever. You see what I'm saying? So and now he's officially acting as an official. See what I'm saying? Same thing a cop does. Same thing any other officer that's under an organization or some type of collective organ that's been selected or given a certain office based off an oath they took or something based off what's required by the principal. See what I'm saying? So these are things that give power, give you authority. Understand that. Check it out. So now we know that an inferior person is inferior to an official person, which is lesser in standing than a true person. Now, what's a true person? Which is lesser in standing than a divine person. So, a true person. We want to know, because these terms they're using them for a reason, right? So, a true person is characterized by several key traits. Authenticity. They embrace their true selves. values, beliefs without pretense. So when you come in and hey, I'm the living man and I'm standing in my flesh as the living principle, or, when you do that, self-awareness, they have a profound understanding of their strengths, weakness, and emotions. Okay. So when I come on here and I say, you got to know thyself, this is what I'm trying to teach you. You got to really know thyself. Okay. Honesty. They are open and transparent about their intentions and feelings, being true to themselves and others. Vulnerable. They accept their imperfections and show vulnerability as strength, fostering deep connections with others. I do it all the time. If I miss a consultation, I ain't got no problem. Hey, brother, I apologize. I missed that somehow, whatever. It ain't nothing wrong with, when you make a mistake, you do something wrong, you give, you gotta make better for the wrong that you did. Because that man, that woman could have had something to do. That's why they scheduled at that time. So, everything, when you start really getting into this stuff, you realize that it's more spiritual than it is anything, but you got to have the right information. See, they hold themselves to a higher, more standard and make choices that align with their values. They traits contributes to life that is true to who they are, leading to a greater fulfillment, happiness. Right? Understand that. So that's a true person. So when you read that, an inferior person is by very definition inferior to an official person. So if you go in and you basically saying you're just an ordinary person and you dealing with an official, then you stand beneath him, which is lesser in standing than a true person. So if you're not a true person, you're an inferior person, you standing beneath the official because you're not a true person. You see what I'm saying? Hold up. You ain't feeling me yet. Y'all make sure you share it out, man. Y'all gonna share this thing out. Y'all gonna start sharing the live out so people can get this information. So they can get this fire that Brother Isaiah be dropping. You hear me? Because I put it together for you so you can get it, right? Now check it out. So you gotta be a true person. Now we're gonna get down in that which is lesser in standing than a divine person. So now, hold up, let's go to the divine, a divine person. Okay. Now, you got a lot of persons now. A lot of persons. Now check it out. Let's see. So now they're talking about Trinity. A divine person refers to a distinct entity with Holy Trinity in Christianity, which includes Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Right? Each divine person possesses unique attributes, yet share the same divine essence, emphasizing their unique in equality. The term prosopon, uh, whatever that is often used in context signifying self-manifestation of an individual's hypothesis, such as the Holy Spirit, who is associated with other members of the Trinity and is worthy of honor and obedience. So I guess the divine person is what they call a person who is divinely intertwined with their divine essence and spirit and Trinity and the Holy Trinity with themselves and God. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, uh, you say, well, you can't three into one and all of this stuff, but when you start thinking about the way that they got this system set up, they operating in many different persons and wearing different hats. So, when they talk about the Trinity, a lot of people don't, don't we don't see that three gods could be one, things like that. But I don't think, in the essence of what it's talking about, when you start reading some of this information, it gives you a different understanding of what it's talking about. You see what I'm saying when it's referring to divine, true persons, inferior persons, superior persons, supreme persons. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot that we don't even know about. You see what I'm saying? That we haven't even been exposed. All right. So that's why I'm trying to show you some stuff, right? So I ain't gonna even speak on that, but that's just what the definition of it is. That I'm gonna leave that up for everybody else's interpretation because everybody got a way they see that Trinity, especially if you believe in Islam or something. You ain't really rocking with the Trinity thing, but you got to be open minded to get an understanding in order to understand things from a different angle. You see what I'm saying? Even though I might not interpret it the same way that they do, I still want to understand why it's bringing the divine person to the Trinity and understanding what that really means. Because if I go based off what I was taught through Islam, I might be blocking myself from really understanding what it really means. So you got to be open minded. That's what I'm saying. You still got to be able. That's why I took myself away from religion, from this group, that group. That way I can be neutral to everything and be open to learning everything. So I'm not restricting myself because I say, oh, I'm here. I don't believe in that. Or no, I believe in all truth. You know what I'm saying? And no matter where I get it from. And that's just the way it is. And if you're not like that, something is wrong with you. I extract truth wherever I find it. If it's in some in Christianity, I want that truth too. If it's some in Islam, I want that truth. If it's all, because there ain't no truth just in one religion. It's you know how big this thing is. You can't. I'd be lying if I say I didn't get some truth out of when I was a Christian. I didn't learn certain things that were true. I might have been told certain things that were not true, but I got certain truth. I learned certain things about how to deal with myself personally. You see what I'm saying? I might have been misled in a lot of things that I didn't understand that were not taught to me properly. But at the same time, to say I didn't get anything good from it, I'd be lying like a mug. You see what I'm saying? I'd be lying. And that's anything, the nation, the Moore Science Temple, or any other thing that I study. I've always gained something from all of them. You know what I'm saying? So I can't say, oh, well, Christianity is bad, this, and that. I just say that if it's not understood properly, if you're not taught properly, you could be, it could be detrimental to you, right? And I'm gonna share this story, and I like to send my condolences to my one of my partners. His mother passed away, and I like to send my condolences to her. It's been a lot of people passing away. My uncle passed away from cancer. His mother passed away from cancer, and it's a lot of people sick with cancer and on dialysis and all these different things. That's catching up to us, right? So I just wanted to say, I had a talk with this woman, and we were talking about Christianity. I mean, not Christianity. We were talking about health, and I was trying to, enlighten her about, there's a cure for cancer, and that we've been lied to about a lot of different things that we have not been privileged to. And I say most of us only know medical, the pharmaceuticals, the hospitals, and we go to them for guidance. But most doctors don't live longer than their patients. You see what I'm saying? Or if as long as their patients. So when you think about things like that, you gotta understand that everybody's being taught curriculum, and these people are following the curriculum that was outlined for them to follow to operate on you to do certain things that they was taught in these curriculums, and they're practicing because nobody knows how. Everything they do is a practice. They don't know the outcome. See what I'm saying? They don't know what's gonna happen. See what I'm saying? Anything can. So when uh when you start really getting, you know, uh deep into it, man, you realize that it's a lot, it's a lot to learn, but the more you learn, the better you are, the better off you are. So I always keep my mind open to learning and to growing in information because when you think you know it all, then you stop growing. If I think I got it figured out, oh, I got this commerce thing on lock, Stop growing at that moment because I think I will always be studying this stuff and learning into the day I transition. See, I'm trying to figure out in totality more about what's going on. Some people just trying to figure out how to pay a damn bill. This bigger, this is way bigger than that. What I'm showing you is things that it's on a higher level. You got to get on the right frequency. All right. It says, as every man, woman, and higher order spirit is generated, is granted a divine person in accordance with the sacred covenant, right? So it says, every man is granted a divine person, right? Excluding the conditions of necessities. When a man or a woman willingly chooses to be associated with an inferior person, such as an inferior Roman person or a Roman slave, such as demonstration of distortion of reality, lack of the ability or reasoning and the logic is ground to declare such a man or woman through their inferior person as incompetent. Hands down, man. What? What? Let me read this again, man. Every man, woman, and higher order spirit, in higher order spirit is granted a divine person in accordance with the sacred covenant. And I can't, excluding the conditions of necessity. When a man or a woman willingly chooses to be associated with an inferior person, such as an inferior Roman person or a Roman slave, such demonstration of distortion of reality, lack of ability of reasoning and logic is grounds to declare such man and woman through their inferior person as incompetent. Hold up. Now, a person, let me show it to you. Inferior person, such as a Roman person. Just in case when you was on, you just not getting on here and you don't know what that is. Let me show you what it is. All right, so in the Roman law, a person can't operate under Roman law unvalid. You have to be a valid person in order to operate, right? Now check it out. Hold up. Let me go back because it ain't showing me what I want to see. Let me find it for you. Let me show you what this Roman, what is an inferior Roman person or a Roman slave, okay? Because you might be a Roman slave and you don't even know it. All right, in ancient Rome, slaves were considered property and had no rights of priesthood, meaning they were not legally recognized as individuals. They could be owned by individual families and even the state, and their treatment varied widely depending on their own discretion, right? While some slaves were treated well and could even gain their freedom through my whatever that is mission, many face harsh conditions and were subject to severe punishment, right? So hold up, but they ain't telling you what it is though. I'm gonna show you what it is though. They still playing with you. So let me find where it's at where I just had it. Person. All right, here it is right here. All right, so a Roman person. All right, so I'm gonna show you what it is so you can know what it is. All right, I don't want you to be So they trying to change it up. All right, so they're trying to hide it from me. A Roman person is a see. It keeps saying individual and it's saying legal, but I'm gonna show. I'm gonna get it to where it tell you exactly what it is. It's called legal curse pet system. Because they trying not to show it to you. They probably watching this and like, oh man. So an inferior person, such as a Roman person, is defined as a person created through a legal system that lacks the same legal standing and rights of a superior person. In Roman law, an inferior person are considered the lowest standing and weakest form of a valid person, unable to claim superiority over others, right? So look, they trying to hide it from you. Watch this. I'm gonna show you because, but I want you to understand a Roman person is created through a legal system that, so let me show you. Give me my mic. Is a Roman person considered a legal person?
According to BibleHub.com, Roman citizens enjoyed several legal rights that distinguished them from non-citizens. These rights included the ability to vote, marry legally, and engage in commerce.
See?
More importantly, Roman citizens were entitled to a fair trial and were protected from certain forms of punishment.
Okay. So in Roman law, a person is generally considered a legal person, meaning they possess the capacity to enter into legal relationships and have rights and duties. Don't that sound like what they tell you your damn legal name is? Huh? Ain't that what they say citizenship is? Woo! Woo! Man! God dang. Got to be more careful. Come on, man. Hype me up. Hype me up. Yeah. All right, check it out. Let's keep going. Natural persons are human individuals endowed with legal capacity, while artificial persons like corporations are created through legal mechanisms to facilitate commerce and collective activities. So, in order for us to do commerce, we had to have a Roman person, which was a legal person, right? In order to facilitate and create the mechanism to do commerce. A Roman law recognizes various types of legal persons, including natural persons and artificial persons, each serving distinct functions within the legal system, right? The concept of a legal personality in Roman law laid the groundwork for modern legal systems, allowing entities to interact independently with the judicial system because they created a legal personality for you to use as your identity, but it's a legal personality, right? It's a legal person, a legal personality, having rights and amenities like a man. So that's why they call it what? Your legal credit profile, legal personality. Thus, individuals in Roman law are recognized as legal persons, reflecting their capacity to engage in legal matters. Now we know, right? where a man or a woman through their inferior person is lawfully declared incompetent. Let's look this up. We're going to look this whole phrase up. I want to see what they got to say. A man or a woman can be legally declared incompetent through a formal court process, which involves evaluating their decision to their decision-making ability. These determinations is not based solely on their ability to make sound decisions. Rather, it assesses whether they can manage their personal care, health, or financial affairs due to underlying conditions such as mental illness and cognitive decline. The process typically begins when an interested party files a petition for guardianship and the court-appointed expert evaluates the individual's capacity. If deemed incompetent, a guardian may be appointed to manage their affairs, ensuring their needs for safety and well-being are met. So when an attorney acts for you, he's supposed to act in the best of your interests. And interest, according to law, is what covers any obligation. So if I get an attorney, my only job is to instruct him, to let him know that I want to be identified as a party having an interest, and I would like for you to transfer and assign my interest to the clerk to settle this case. As my attorney, you work to the best of my interest, and I'm ordering you. See, when you have an attorney, he does what the hell you tell him to do. You are the principal. So when you write him as the principal. You see what I'm saying? And you instruct your agent to performance of his duty. See, you don't go in there, he's telling you what to do. That's an inferiority complex. What the hell is wrong with you? You steady acting inferior. It'll come to you. Trust me. So you gotta, everything that they do, they test in your mental. They want to see whether you're competent or not, whether you understand things or not. That's when the attorney knows that he can take advantage of you. When he see you don't know nothing. When he see you at the palm of his hand, you're at his disposal. Understand that. All right. The Society of One Heaven, or nominated judicant society, shall lawfully assume full power, right, as guardian and executor and administrator for the inferior person. Now you be like, damn, did you know that the United States is a Euclidean society? Oh, yeah, you probably don't even know what that means, do you? Huh? What's this one heaven stuff? Have you ever heard about the one heaven? Oh, you ain't heard about the one heaven? Oh, they've been keeping it, because they want you to read the Bible, but they ain't tell you about this though, right? They tell you about the one heaven or the nominated Euclidean society. Okay? Who the hell is that? Who is this one heaven, the Euclidean society? Who the hell is this? I want to know who this is. One Heaven Society is a nonprofit organization that promotes spiritual services to aim to fulfill the dream of a unified afterlife, emphasizing the importance of a moral and spiritual framework for individuals. In contrast, Eucadia Society focuses on promoting equal justice reform and positive social change, aiming to address various societal issues through practical and logical actions. Both organizations have distinct philosophies and goals, and One Heaven emphasizing spiritual service and Eucadia advocating for social justice and equality. Did you know that? Why we didn't know that? Huh? I wonder why. I don't, you know, but I never knew of no one heaven. You know what I mean? So what's so they in some kind of cult or what we call covenant. All these different governments, right? Check it out. See what this is. Let me look up the legal definition. In legal terms, a society is a comprehensive framework that enables societies to self-organize and regulate based on principles of freedom and equality. It includes a set of laws and rules that govern the actions of its members, rooted in sacred covenants and global charters. The Ucadia legal system is designed to address pressuring issues of humanity and promote justice and human rights, ensuring that all members operate within structured legal framework. Okay? They have a lot of power, yo. Check it out. We're gonna keep going. So when you don't, when you act as an inferior Roman person, legal person, or whatever, you don't have no title, you're not a person of status, then you fall under the authority of the administration, right? A supreme juridic person is an aggregate of 100 divine persons formed as the body of a supreme trust. When such divine persons share similar characteristics and no longer own a living flesh vessel. Wow. There is no higher form of a juristic person than a supreme juristic person. The highest supreme juristic person is an aggregate of all supreme juristic persons represented by the society of one heaven. All divine persons are formed from divine immortal spirits. Supreme juristic persons possesses consciousness and legal personalities as a living spirit. It is both illogical and fraudulent to compare a supreme juristic person with a corporate person being a mortmanous person, also known as a dead ghost, devoid of consciousness. What the? Woo! Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Dang. What? Well, let's look this up. Supreme juristic person. What is that? Dang. Supreme Court consists of Chief Justice and 8 Associate Justice official Supreme Court website. So now you understand why they created the Supreme Court of Justice. And I'm showing you where it's coming from. Where all what they did to create these offices to give themselves special powers so that they can do everything that they doing over here. You know what I'm saying? Because they knew these laws and were able to use these laws in order to subjugate and do everything that they're doing today. Okay. All right. So let's go back. Let's go back. Now we understand what it's talking about when it says all divine persons are from a divine immortal spirit. Okay. So what is a divine immortal spirit? We have to be certain today because we all can't be taking no guessing no more. Chinese methodology, right? Immortal spirit known as Axis are beings that have attained immortality and supernatural abilities. They are often associated with Taius, Tois, or whatever it is, Fathom, and are believed to have achieved this through spiritual self cultivation, alchemy, or worship. So you have some beings that have reached the level of immortality. They figured it out how to become immortal. See what I'm saying? How to live forever. Okay. So it can be reached, right? Supreme juristic persons possess consciousness and legal personality as a living spirit. So all supreme persons like these judges, they got consciousness and legal personality as a living spirit. It is both illogical and fraudulent to compare a supreme juristic person with a corporate person being a all right. So let's look this up. A corporate person being whatever the hell this is. See what I'm saying? Because this is crazy. The concept of corporate priesthood refers to the legal recognition that corporations possess certain rights and responsibilities akin to those of natural persons. This means that the corporation can own property, enter into contracts, and be sued similar to an individual. Key point. Legal rights. Corporations have rights under the U.S. Constitution, such as First Court, Fifth Amendment, which ensures due process and equal protection. All right, the ideal of corporate priesthood has evolved over time, significant ruling. So the reason why they did the corporate, the 14th Amendment was so that they can create a corporate priesthood and put you in a corporate status under priesthood, right? To where they can basically hold you at a lower status, right? All right. It refers to a legal practice where property is owned by a corporation or a legal institution, preventing it from being sold or transferred to future generations, right? This concept originates in medieval England to maintain control over land, particularly by religious organizations. The term is derived from medieval Latin, mortua, manus, uh, meaning dead hand. And it raises questions about property ownership and its implications for society, right? So, this do you see what's happening? All right. So all this is what's going on right now. This is what they doing right now, right? So legal practice where property is owned by a corporation or a legal institution, preventing it from being sold or transferred to future generations, right? It's crazy. And that's basically what it's like a dead pledge. All right. The ownership remains with the one who issued the pledge if he don't receive what he's entitled to. So, a lot of these different things they use in today that we don't know of, there it goes void of consciousness. No inferior juridic person, also known as a corporate person, also known as a mortal menace or a dead ghost, can have superior jurisdiction over a living spirit. Therefore, no inferior Roman juridic person may ever have superior jurisdiction over a supreme juridic person. All right. A universal juridic person is an aggregate formed as a body of universal trust. A universal juridic person is the highest possible form of a juridic society of any and all types of societies within the universe. There are only two types of universal juridic persons, namely Eucadia and universal gold credits, right? As a true person are formed from divine persons themselves, formed from the divine immortal spirit. Universal juridic persons possess consciousness and legal personalities as a living spirit. It is both illogical and fraudulent to compare a universal juridic person with a corporate person being a mortal menace person, also known as a dead ghost devoid of consciousness. No inferior juridic person, also known as a corporate person, also known as a mortal menace or a dead ghost, can have superior jurisdiction over a living spirit. Therefore, no inferior Roman juridic person may ever have superior jurisdiction over a universal juridic person, right? So it's saying that no Roman person, right, or corporate person known as a dead entity can have superior jurisdiction over a living spirit. So if you are a living spirit, it can't have jurisdiction over you, only if you consent. See what I'm saying? Can't have no jurisdiction over you, right? Eudicadia has dominion over all existence and all therein. What the hell? You see that? Why don't you know about this Eudicadia? Who? What? Eudicadia has what? Dominion over all existence and all therein. You don't know what I'm showing. But why is it reading about corporate persons, juristic? You don't know what I'm showing. But I'm showing you something very powerful. Share out the live. Make sure you call up your people and tell them Brother Isaiah on fire again. Tell them. All right. Canon 1628. The global juristic person is an aggregate form of the holy of the body of the global trust. As global juristic persons are formed from divine persons holding consciousness and life, and all global juristic persons possess legal personalities as living beings with a spirit. No inferior juristic person, also being corporate person, also known as a metamorphosis person, mortal menace person, or dead ghost, can have superior jurisdiction over a living spirit. They can't keep you as a dead person and you a living spirit. Therefore, no inferior Roman juridic person may ever have superior jurisdiction over a global juridic person. What is a global juridic person? Look this up. A juridic person is a legal entity recognized by law that has its own rights and responsibilities, distinct from those of natural persons, individuals. This includes organizations such as corporations, partnerships, and associations that are created under the state law. Juridical persons can enter into contracts own property and be sued in their own name, allowing them to operate independently in a legal system. This concept is significant for facilitating economical activity and providing legal certainty as it enables entities to engage in legal transactions without personal liability of their owner. So it's basically saying like when you create an LLC or some type of entity, that entity is a uh, juridical person. It can be sued in court and act as its own person, separate from you, right? All right. Now, I'm reading from the scriptures of heaven. Okay. Now, these scriptures come directly from heaven. All right. Before they was recorded in on earth, they was first recorded in heaven. That's why we're able to find everything we find it. And I'm reading it. And you might not believe what I'm telling you, but I'm giving you real talk. This right here came from heaven. Okay. That you're gonna see it, you're gonna understand it here in a minute. A civil jurisdiction, civil juridic person is an aggregate form as a body of a civil trust. A civil juridic person are formed from a divine person holding consciousness and life. All civil juridic persons possess legal personality as living beings with a spirit. So if you go into court as a civil juridic person, you actually are a living spirit. See what I'm saying? And you have consciousness and life. See what I'm saying? But you got to come alive. A lot of people not coming alive, right? No inferior juridic person, also being a corporate person, also known as a mortem menace or dead ghost, can have superior jurisdiction over a living spirit. So if you are considered a civil juridic person and they are formed from a divine person holding consciousness and life. So in order for them to create a legal person, it had to be created from a natural person who had life. Understand that, right? All civil juridic persons possess legal personality. So every legal person they charging in the case has a legal personality, has a legal man with a personality. As a living being with a spirit. Wow, man, come on, man. No inferior juridic person, also being a corporate person, also known as a mortem menace or dead ghost, can have superior jurisdiction over a living spirit. Therefore, no inferior Roman juridic person may ever have superior jurisdiction over a civil juridic person. If two civil juridic persons are so joined that from them one is constituted, which also possesses juridic personalities, this new juridic person obtains the goods and the right proper to the prior ones and assumes the obligations with which they were burdened, right? With regard to the allocation of the goods in particular, and to the fulfillment of obligations. However, the intent of the founder and donor as well as acquired right must be respected. So if two civil juridic persons, one being one of life and one being a Roman person, a dead entity, right? Or in a, are constituted with the juristic personality, this new juridic person obtains the goods. So if you become one with the entity, and then you become bound, right, to performance to assume the obligations with the burden, right, of that other person because of the way that you operate. You're operating in a capacity that keeps you, the living man, bound to the Roman person. See what I'm saying? And civil juridic person is also divided either in a part of is united with another civil juridic person, or that as a district, as a distinct civil juridic person is erect from the separate part. The authority competent to make the division, having observed before all else the intentions of the founder and the donor, the acquired right and the approved status, must take care personally or through an executor to a financial obligation and disbursement of remaining assets in accordance with the original intention of the members. See, and it goes in, man. I'm saying when I say this thing go in, it go in, it go in. Let me go. Now, all this is about juridic persons, right? Hold up. I'm trying to get to okay. I'm gonna read something to y'all, right? Let me go back up. I'll read something to you. All right. All right. So by right, power, and authority of Article 9, 92, also known as the Covenant of One Heaven, these pronouncements of law, known collectively as positum and also known as the canon of positive law, are hereby promulgated in original form of a Eudicanian language and represents the primary one and one true first canon of positive law, excluding the covenant of one heaven and all other laws, claims and agreements claiming standing of positive law shall be secondary and inferior to this ab initio. These canons of positive law may be taken in official original document form, spoken form to represent part of the one complete set of 22 canons, also known collectively as Astram, Luris, Divinity, whatever, also known as the living body of the divine canon law, and the highest of all original law. And when referencing these canons of positive law collectively, it may also be taken into print form and spoken word that we mean this complete and accurate set of laws as the highest of all original laws. And in accordance with the canons of positive law, the Society of One Heaven, also known as the One Heaven Society of the United Spirits, also known as the Holy See of the United Spirits, also known as the Holy Society, reserve all rights to itself. And as all rights are reserved, no translation, copy, citation, duplication, registration in part or in whole implies any transfer or conveyance of these rights, right? And when a part or all of these laws is presented or spoken in any language other than the official Eudicadian language, it may be taken as a translation and not as a primary language. Therefore, any secondary meaning implying deficiency, claim, or obligation of any right or any other defect of the word in translation language shall be null and void ab initio. When referring to these canons of positive laws collectively, it may be taken that the primary original form of these laws reside as a supernatural spiritual document rested in heaven first, and a physical document rested in the great registry and public record of one heaven upon earth second. Therefore, whenever an official and valid form of these laws is present in physical form, it shall be bound to its spiritual form from which it is derived, its spiritual power and authenticity. And let no man, woman, spirit, or officer of a lesser society place themselves in grave dishonor of divine law, natural law, and living law upon denying the validity of these canon of laws, having been warned, any act in defiance of these laws shall have no effect, and any spiritual invocation is opposition to the validity of these laws shall be in it immediately returned upon the maker, as it is written, so be it. Man, listen, though. This say right here. It said when referencing these canons of positive law collectively, it may be taken that the primary and original form of these laws reside as a supernatural spiritual document rested in heaven first. Did you hear that? It said it was rested in heaven first. Then it was rested in the public or the great registry, which is the public record, the federal registry. See what I'm saying? So this is public law, yo. Everything in here. Now I'm finna show you something. This the highest law. They talking about Constitution. No, this the highest law. Right here. Check this out. No law may exist, be written, or enforced unless it conforms to the body of the canon law, preceding this canon known as Astrum, whatever. With I not, you don't believe that? I can prove to you that everything they created came from this. Everything, right? Positive law is the law that are enacted by men and women through proper authority in accordance with these canons. For the government of a society, a positive law ultimately refers to a physical object and living beings. All valid positive law may be said to be derived from natural law, right? A positive law cannot abrogate, suspend, nor change natural law, right? Nor is it possible for positive law or natural law to abrogate, suspend, or change divine law, right? All positive law established in accordance with these canons are statutes of juridic persons within the limits of their established authority, right? No valid positive law issued in accordance with these canons may create or alter divine, natural, or original positive law. So it's talking about the laws of nature, the laws of the divine. It's talking about juristic laws of people that's holding titles that are given special powers. Everything. This deals with everything, yo. This right here, when I found this, I was like blown away. So then it says all positive law may be defined in 4 foundations, including concepts of principal operation and results in 19 primary systems, including ecclesiastical law, administrative law, life, etiquette, food, drugs, knowledge, obligations and agreements, property and succession, money and trade, language, civilization, entities, religion, sacred texts, treaties, rites and customs, sacred office, divine sacraments, and time/places. So that's everything, y'all. That's everything. It covers everything. When anyone references or writes or speak out positive law, it shall mean the canons and none other. So when they speak positive law, they're talking about the canon. Okay? Check this out. It says equality is expressed as active present of impartiality, uniformity, calmness, deficiency, and reasonable in actions and performance of duty of all who claim to represent the law. The word equality is derived from the Latin aequitas, meaning uniformity, impartiality, fair dealing, and calmness of mind. Equality is the act of demonstrating the golden rule by those who represent the law, that all are equal under the law and subject to the law. When equality ceases, law ceases, right? Then it comes over and it says, fairness is expressed as the absence of bias, malice, vested interest, or predisposed opinion, and the active presence of deficiency and reasonableness in the action and performance of duty of all who claim to represent the law. The word fairness originates from ancient Gaelic, which the word fair means an act of watching, guarding, as well as horizon or skyline. The absence of fairness is the absence of law. One who is incapable of demonstrating fairness lacks the character and honor to be a judge. One who is incapable of demonstrating fairness, lacks the character and honor to be a judge. So when you filing your documents and they not responding, the judge not ruling on your stuff and all that stuff, he lack character to be a judge. He's not honorable. He's not fair. He's not impartial. He's got a stake or vested interest with the prosecutor. All right, but let's go down, right? We're gonna go down some. I just want to show you something. All this deal with natural law, positive law. Go down some. All right, so I ain't go over everything. I skipped a lot of stuff, but to know thyself implies not only to learn, but the ability to discern what is and what is not. Thus, gnosis and true knowledge has always been the enemy of deception and those who deliberately mislead. So to know thyself, to know who you are, to know what's going on, defeats them when they deceptive acts and practices, right? As these canons of divine law and natural law are proven with proof, reason, and logic alone, true rule law rests upon only gnosis and true knowledge, not faith or belief. So it says that you can't have faith. All y'all people going to church, talking about, I believe in God, I got faith in Jesus. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. It tells you right here in the canons that that's nonsense. You got to have gnosis, meaning true knowledge, not faith or belief. It says any definition that attempts to connect the opposite concepts of faith or belief to gnosis or knowledge is deliberately false and misleading. In accordance with these canons, any such definition is automatically rendered null and void. Let's check this out. Any definition that attempts to imply negative connotation or defective meaning to gnosis, right, in favor or belief or faith are deliberately false and misleading. So it's saying if you try to say faith and belief stands over Gnosis, having absolute knowledge, having true knowledge of something, you done lost your mind. You done lost your mind because you trying to believe in something that you can't prove, and somebody got substantial knowledge of something that's facts. And you trying to say that your belief and you know what I'm saying, your faith stand over the truth. You got to be out your mind. Any definition that right it says when anyone references and writes or speaks gnosis, true knowledge, or knowledge in respects to law, it shall mean the canons and none other. So when you speak in true knowledge or gnosis, you speaking from the canon. You speaking from the actual divine laws that was handed down from heaven before they came and was recorded on earth. Check it out. Oh, I'm gonna show you something. Watch this. We're gonna get to it. Belief is confidence in reliance on the validity of some quality or attribute of a form based on custom, and faith without proof. Belief is therefore equivalent to the concept of trust based on faith of a higher deity. Belief is not the same meaning as faith nor trust. Belief is a fractional term originally equivalent in the meaning trust in God, whereas faith is original fractional sense means duty of fulfillment or fulfilling one's trust in God. Belief is therefore trust in the divine that something is true, whereas faith is the obligation to believing something is true, right? So belief is the faith, it means belief is you believing that something is true, and then faith is you doing something in order to prove that something is, or to prove your belief in something to be true. All right, you're taking obligations to prove your faith in it, right? Now, belief is not the same meaning as gnosis or true knowledge, right? Belief is based on trust of a higher deity, while gnosis is true knowledge based on true knowledge is based on trust born from proof. So a lot of y'all going off of belief, right? From a higher source. You believe that God gonna give you the knowledge, or Jesus. And then some people, we're operating off gnosis, of true knowledge based on born from the proof, reason, or the logic, in order to strengthen certain fractional models in reality based on faith. The definition of gnosis has been obligated, and the definition of belief deliberately misconstrued. So they got people putting belief as the main thing when really the main thing is to know. The Bible said you suffer from a lack of knowledge. So to keep saying you believe is to say that you still don't have the knowledge. See what I'm saying? So you don't get it, but you got to start reading the right stuff so you can learn, because the right information will change your life. As these canons are divine law, natural law, and positive law, incorporated the proof in the existence of divine creator as all as well as perfect gnosis. It may be correctly construed that these canons represent perfect belief. When anyone references or writes or speaks belief, true belief, perfect belief, it shall mean these canons and none other. So the whole time you've been reading your Bible, speaking stuff about truth, you don't even know what you're even talking about because you ain't even read the right stuff yet, right? Check it out. Let me show you something. Now, I ain't got to read. I'm going to read this. Trust is the confidence and the reliance on validity of some quality or attribute from being true based on custom without proof or faith. Trust is now also applied to a form of administration in the conveyance of rights and obligations and relationships. Trust does not have the same meaning as faith. Trust is a fractional term that does not inherently imply the need of proof, nor faith or confidence in something being true, whereas faith in its original fractional sense means duty of fulfillment of one's truth in God or trust in God in order to strengthen certain fractional modules of reality based on faith. The definition of trust has been deliberately misconstrued. See what I'm saying? As these canons of divine law, natural law, cognitive law, and positive law incorporated the proof in the existence of all, with and without the need of proof, it may be correctly concluded that these canons represent perfect trust. Right? So where a person speaks of trust, true trust, or perfect trust, it shall mean these canons and none other. Right? Now hold up. Now we're finna get to the good stuff. Right? Let me go down. Hold up. Let me go down. Let's talk about everything, civilization, the whole nine. But I want to show you something. All right. Canon 1499. A person is a 16th century CE created entity. That's what CE stand for. Created entity. Created, like, look, a person is a 16th century CE created word, but falsely claims from the 16th century CE, defining a fictional form of property enclosing certain characteristics in appearance as the identity of one or more level 6 higher order form life forms, to which further rights of use are then annexed. So a person is a fictional form of property, enclosing certain characteristics in appearance as identity. I ain't never read this in no Bible or nothing. Nothing teaches this. All right, let's keep going. And what is a level 6 higher order life form? Huh? What is that? Have you ever heard of that? Let's look this up. Level 6, the hierarchy of life forms, is the organism level, which represents an individual living entity that functions independently. This level includes both unicellular organisms like bacteria, archaea, and what is it? Multicellular organisms, my bad, such as plants, animals, and fungi. The organisms live level is significant, and it encompasses all living things and their interaction with ecosystems. Right? So now we know what a level 6 higher order life form is, right? Wow. Wow. The word person comes from the Latin word persona. In Latin means mask, character, or a part of a play, and originates as a key element of a fraudulent treatise known as Corpus Juris Civilis, as the end of the century, whereby all persons by their nature were falsely claimed to be subject to the jurisdiction of the Roman Court, also known as the Vatican. The intervention of persons from the 16th century enabled the enclosed of bodies of living flesh beings and the alienation of traditional and natural rights associated to them, with persons being viewed as a type of property which could be purchased, sold, seized, or surrendered. The existence of a valid and proper person requires the valid minimum 9 elements to be present, being author, script, actor, relation, binding, part, action, record, and title. Author, also known as the principal, including but not limited to creator, trustor, or general executor, and the holder of the original authority is the term used to define the one empowered to direct the actions of the actor, agent, or trustee in accordance with the express script, right? Wow. Script, also known as a deed or a conveyance or statute, is the term used to define instrument of empowerment by which the actor or the author principal directs the actions of the actor, agent, for the benefit of the party identified identity and beneficiary. And the actor, also known as persona or interpreter or agent or trustee, is the term used to define the one who consents to perform the part, identity, in accordance with the script, the deed, statute, or the law. Woo! Show it to you, man. That fire, man. Relation also being the trust between the author, principal, and the actor. Wait a minute. Relation also being the trust between the author, the principal, to the actor, the agent. Relation expressed as being either general public or special private appointment, and where only 3 types of relationships are possible, being self or another or not known. So either you can be the principal, you can act as another, or you can be an unknown person. And binding, also known as the agreement, is the terms used to define the formal binding of the actor, the agent, to perform the part of the identity, and consent as to the direction of the author, the principal, in accordance to the script, the deed, such as a vow, oath, acknowledgement, or a seal or signature on paper, and part, also known as the identity and beneficiary, is the term used to define the fractional mass or character to be supported by the actor, agent, right, at the discretion of the author, the principal, right? Actions, also known as personations, is the action of an actor, agent, performing and supporting the part, which is the identity, the beneficiary, as stated in the script, right? Deed or conveyance, meaning that the actor is paying the beneficiary. Record of events, also known as personification, being the formal written memorial of an event of a creation, birth of a person through previous elements of author, script, actor, relation, binding, part, and action. So basically, the birth certificate proves you are the actor behind the person. Title, the beneficial interest, being the property of the person created by the extract, right? All right, so the title to the beneficial interest being the property of the person created by the abstract acknowledgement of the record of events. So it says when you acknowledge the title, the record of events, and claim your beneficial interest over the title, right? Because the property is an abstract of your birth. Hopefully that makes sense. They created an abstract person from the birth of a living man. And the living man holds the title to the abstract person. A level 6 higher order form, you are a level 6 higher order. You're not supposed to be operating on a lower level like that. You're supposed to have sound mind, right? May be associated to more than one person, associated with more than one trust. However, a level 6 higher order life form may not logically, legally, or lawfully be to hold, be the holder of the title for beneficial interest at the same time as acting in the capacity of a trustee. So it's basically saying you can't be the holder of beneficial interest, the rights to beneficial interest, and act as a trustee at the same time. The holder of the title of beneficial interest, beneficiary, at the same time as acting in the capacity of an executor or author or principal. All persons may be categorized according to three possible types of relations, being actor, principal, two, actor, agent, being first person, self, second person, another, and third person, not known. First person, also known as the natural person, in propria persona, is when the competent mind of a coordinate level 6 higher order life form as author principal appoints records and publishes them by special private appointment as actor agent by some solemn binding agreement. Therefore, a first person or natural person possesses natural title to rights of beneficial use associated with the first person, synonymous with such pronoun as I, thou, me, my, mine, myself, we, us, our, ours, and ourselves, and. So these are all the attributes you're supposed to be using when you're acting in first person. And it's telling you that the first person of competent mind, right, he appoints a record or publishes themselves by special private appointment. So you do a private appointment and appoint yourself as the actor agent by some silent binding agreement. Therefore, you possess the natural rights and the beneficial use over the principal. Second person, also known as an artificial person, when a coordinate 6 level order life form as Arthur, as the principal, the one who created that artificial person, appoints another coordinate level 6 order life form by special private appointment as actor agent, right? By some solemn binding agreement. So if you assign a contract and then another holder, another man or woman becomes the holder of that contract and becomes agent for you, then that's that you're in your second person. Thus, a second person or an artificial person is synonymous with such pronouns as you, yours, yourself, and so ain't this what they tell you when you open up your bank account? You, yours, all that stuff. So you have to become a holder of your own. If you acting in second person, you acting as a legal person, as a Roman person. Third person, also known as a legal person or statutory person or surrogate person, is when the author, the principal, which is the man or the woman, is hidden or not known, and the level 6 higher order life form fails to properly express any competence or competent in propria personam, first person, or second person author principle, to act or agent, relation prior to the commencement of a interpersonal intercourse. In the third person, the flesh and body of a living level 6 order life form is mistaken and presumed to be by default the person in the statutes of law or rules of the court as script D in the judge or magistrate as an author principle. Thus, a third person or legal person is synonymous with such pronoun as he, she, it, they, them, their, or theirs, and themselves. A person may possess greater or lesser authority, powers, and rights than others. All authority and powers of a person is inherited from the limits of power and authority of author principle. An author principle is said to inherit the rights, authority, and power of the father and mother, unless specifically derived by will, or an author principle may be granted certain rights, authorities, and powers by law of a higher state or trust to which they belong, or rightful possession, the beneficial interest. All persons may be categorized and ranked according to possible levels of authority, power, and rights, from greater to highest powers and authority to the lowest and the least powers and authority, being in order rank divine, true, superior, and inferior. A divine person is a purely divine spirit person associated with divine trust, formed in accordance with sacred covenant, the creator, in which the form of a divine spirit, energy, and rights are conveyed, and a true person in the form of an attribute to be to a true trust form when an associate divine trust already exists, and there is a law conveyance of divine rights of use and purpose known as divinity to a true trust associated with the birth and the existence of a living level 6 order life form. A true person can never be claimed or argued as higher than a divine person from which it derives its authority. And a superior person is from the attributes of a superior trust when associated true trust already exists, and there is a lawful conveyance of first rights of use and purpose known as reality. Right? So it's saying that shit, if you alive and you living, you should be able to, by reality, to see that your life is a trust. You are already in trust with God. You've been entrusted to be placed on this earth, and you are the beneficiary of every living thing or everything that God has produced. So to create a superior trust when that's already a true, when there's already a trust already a true trust already exists. An inferior person, Roman person, in the form of attributes in Western Roman trust, is the lowest standard and the weakest of valid forms of person. An inferior person can never be
valid, legitimately, logically, legally, lawfully, or morally claimed or argue are superior person. So then it goes into like juridic persons, and then it shows how, you know, how people take on titles in order to have superior status as a person. So that's why most people start organizations and nonprofits to give themselves a title, to give themselves a particular status where they can have special powers to do things, right? Controlling. All right. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it right here, man. I ain't gonna go into no more, but I just wanted to show you these cannons, and I want you to go check these cannons out, man. These cannons are fire. You know what I'm saying? And it goes deep into a lot of different things about, you know, everything from Homo sapiens and Homo sapiens and the life forms, and it talks about everything, man. Everything. You can't miss it. Everything. So even talks about the creation of constitutions and how they were granted those powers through this document to be able to create those constitutions, positive law extending from common law. So all these different things that they didn't structure came directly from these laws that I'm reading to you right now. You know what I'm saying? All these different laws, all these different books, all these spiritual books that they created, and everything came from this, right? And go into all of it, but definitely want to go and check this out because I mean a lot of stuff you might not understand because a lot of stuff that I'm reading in here, I got to look a lot of this stuff up and see what it's talking about, see what it's pertaining to get a better understanding of what it's talking about. But I know it's dealing with Roman law in the Catholic Church. Now, let me show you something. Most of you now they say that this is the highest law ever, and that everybody is bound by these laws. You know what I'm saying? And everybody is under these laws, whether you know it or not. These are the laws that's governing everything, and all judges that sit in their seat under the canon laws. And I can show you that. I can pull up the Supreme Court rules and show you the ethnic laws pertaining to the judges, and they all canon law. They all canon law, straight up. But I'm gonna show you that all this is the same. What you're reading about ain't no different than where you're living at. All right. So let's go to Missouri's. And they basically all this stuff is public law. All right, so these are Missouri laws. These are the laws that govern Missouri, and I'm gonna show you something. So the common law enforced Effects on statutes, failure to render healthcare services, no common law cause of action. Healthcare services is when they supposed to be providing services to you for your health, electricity, gas, water. They're supposed to be providing services for giving you services for your health. The common law of English and all statutes and acts of the parliament. See, we under a covenant. We are under a covenant. And I was just reading to you where it came. Okay. They have what's called one heaven society, all these different things that they have that you don't even know about, right? So the parliament made prior to the 4th year of the region of James I of the general nature, which are not local to that kingdom and are repugnant to are inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, Constitution of this state, or the statutes, laws enforced for the time being, or the rule of action and decisions in the state, any custom or uses to the contrary, notwithstanding, but not acts of the General Assembly or laws of this state shall be held to be invalid or limited in the scope of effect by the court of this state, right? For the reason that is the derogation of conflict with the common law. So basically it's saying that any laws that any other state produce that conflict with these laws that are basically in a custom with the natural common law is basically null and void. So when you go into the United States and they lock you up for a gun charge or felony in possession of drugs, and then they say you can't carry guns no more, that's null and void because that's not your state. All right, you actually are a citizen of that actual state, and the actual public laws, they can't take away the laws granted to you by your state. If your state has a constitution that says that your rights can't be infringed on, then can't no other state, foreign state, infringe on those rights because they have jurisdiction in that territory. See what I'm saying? And that's what they're doing. They're infringing on rights and they're using jurisdiction in order to, take away your rights and things like that because most people don't understand that it's a two separate districts. Now I'm gonna show y'all something that I'm gonna get up out of. I'm trying to find. They got this big government get off my back, certain mandates, not subject to appropriations by statute authorization, right? See, they be trying to push laws that are not lawful, right? I'm gonna show it to you. So it's talking about the Constitution, how it gave Congress the rights to lay taxes and all of All right, so it says federal law deem infringement on United States and Missouri Constitution. The following federal acts, laws, executive orders, administrative orders, rules, and regulations shall be considered infringement on the people's rights to keep and bear arms as guaranteed by Amendment 2 of the Constitution of the United States and Article 2, Section 23 of the Constitution of Missouri within the borders of this state, including but not limited to any tax, levy, fee, or stamp imposed on a firearm accessory, or ammunition not common to all others, goods, and services that might reasonably be expected to create a chilling effect on the purchase or ownership of those items by law-abiding citizen. Any registration or tracking of a firearm accessories or ammunition, any registration or tracking of ownership of a firearm accessories or ammunition, any act forbidding the possession, ownership, use, or transfer of a firearm accessories, any ammunition, any act ordering confiscation of a firearm accessory. So when you start learning like the state laws for your particular state, you realize that your state got laws in place for the United States in reference to y'all constitution. Because if you were born in that state, then those state laws are applicable to you as a citizen of that state. But most consumers never acquire state citizenship nor request through the Secretary of State to be uh, uh, recognized in the system as a state citizen. You see what I'm saying? In order to uphold any rights that you have. All right. So y'all go check out y'all state statutes and codes and look for the same information that I just showed you. Start at the very top. You go into their laws and the structure of their rules. And what you're going to see is that you're under English common law, you're under Roman law, okay? And that all these laws that we are dealing with are these laws right here, these canon laws. These are the same laws, right? That we see how it's talking about all is secret oath, all bar associations to cancel and corrupt law. No member of the bar association may never be permitted to enter into a competent forum, claim to represent the law, or sit as a judge, magistrate, or official. Man, you see that? That's why I say, man, y'all need to go read this. Like these people are faking. You can't even sit in a real court as a magistrate or as a judge, you can't even come in a real court. You see what I'm saying? Any guild, society, association of men and women that seek to deliberately corrupt the living law for their own ends and abrogate the rights of other men and women through trickery and dishonesty are enemies of the living law and have no right to claim superior status before the law. They putting on these uniforms and doing deceptive acts and practices, taking men and women in the court, charging them as legal persons, using Roman status, the lowest status and standing, to be superior over you and keep you in an inferior status as a living being. See what I'm saying? So you gotta go and you gotta get up. You gotta read this. The only way you come out of inferior status is by having an superior knowledge. Okay. You can believe all you want to believe that the judge there for your benefit. I'm showing you that this a lie. Right? Look, the lack of honesty, correctness implies lack of accuracy and deliberately distortion of alleged facts and evidence. Therefore, dishonesty is the enemy of the court, as without accuracy of facts, there cannot be no justice. A judge and a magistrate of competent forum by definition are sworn to protect the law and uphold justice by not permitting dishonesty or region in their court, right? It is it is a solemn and sacred duty of all judges and magistrates to defend the living law against attacks by any guild, society, or association of men that seek to absorb the rights of members and the corrupt the living law, right? Through deliberate dishonesty. See, you are a member of life. You have a birth certification that identifies you as a living member. See what I'm saying? And they trying to corrupt and do deceptive acts. Any guy, society, association of men that seek to deliberately corrupt the living for their own ends and abrogate the rights of other men and women through trickery and dishonesty are enemies of the living law and have no right to claim superior status before the law, as it is a secret oath of all bar associations to conceal and corrupt the law. No bar, no member of a bar association may ever be permitted to enter into a competent forum, claim to represent the law, or sit as a judge, magistrate, or official. So it telling you what the bar is doing. They are liars. The Bible say, woe to you lawyers. Why does the Bible say that? Woe to you lawyers. You still talking about, girl, we got to go get the lawyer. Oh, you do? Oh, really? Oh, you wonder why lawyers are so popular in the world full of sin? Oh. You thought we were lying. Oh, no, we're not lying. You're being scammed, tricked, lied to. Okay? These people don't practice law. They practice lies. Law is natural law. Law is that which is natural to human beings. When you go in there and saying you need a lawyer, no, that means that they're not operating in law, because law, the truth is made plain. But I need a lawyer for if we just dealing with simple facts. You see what I'm saying? I'm a man. You must have an injured party. Do you got an injured party here? Who's the one bringing the claim? Is it you? You have a claim? Prosecuting anybody got a claim against me as a man? If not, all right, then I'm demanding that the case be dismissed, or I challenge your jurisdiction. You don't have any jurisdiction. You don't have any injured party. There's no man here saying I injured them. All right. And if you pull out a piece of paper, you're using a corporate name. You can't use that name. See what I'm saying? See, they're trying to keep you in an inferior status. See, when you come into court, you coming in under your corporate name. You coming in as a Roman slave, and then you standing inferior to a superior person who's holding a title. See what I'm saying? Now you got to learn that. Now we all got to learn this, man. We got to study Roman law. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the laws that's you got to study the serpent. The Romans conquered. You understand that? I think I'm gonna get on up out of here. I showed y'all enough. Hey, listen. If you like what I'm doing, make sure you like, share. If it's your first time, make sure you hit the subscribe button. My thing is to bring you clarity, to show you things that you may not have known, and to enlighten you on things that you need to know. I know it's a lot of things out here. It's a lot of information out here, but we need the right information so we can know what we're dealing with. Like most of us that don't even know that lawyers are not supposed to be in the courtroom, or that masters are not even supposed to be sitting behind the seat. A master is just a lawyer acting as a judge. That's what a magistrate is. It's a lawyer. He ain't no different than the rest of them. You just a lawyer. You acting like you a judge behind that seat, but you don't have no power. That's only you. There's no judge over you. No man can sit in the office and have superior power over another living being. can't nobody subject you to a status of a lower inferior being unless you choose to live in an inferior status. You have the rights to declare your living status. That's what a live life claim is. All right. A lot of things that's being done is not being taught properly so people can understand why that you need to record certain things. Do you know that the great registry of records of all books and records, if you want your information to be in the book of life, then create a book of records. Record your book of records, declare your truth to the world, and live in accordance to that truth. That's the power that you have. Okay. Everybody else is doing the same. They're declaring, recording, and operating off of what they say and declare, right? Claiming anything that they're entitled to. So then you got to get in all your your dealings, man. Get knowledge, get wisdom, and get overstanding or understanding, right? Because you need to know, right, what your rights are, right? Ignorance of the law is no excuse for an officer of the court, right? As it is solemn obligation of all officers of the court, not the parties before the court, to be well versed in jurisprudence and therefore due process of law, right? Any claim, statute, or principle that seeks to shift obligations of knowledge from officers of the court to the parties before the court is an absurdity and deliberate corruption of law, therefore null and void without validity. By definition, knowledge of the law is usually absent within an inferior Roman court, right? Or a court operating under Talmudic law, as both systems are deliberately based on the teachings of false information of all but very few with true definitions, meanings, and functions, reserved usually only to the elite of the judge class, right? Wisdom is the effect of adhering and demonstrating the previous 6 virtues of law. Wisdom is therefore the application of respect, honesty, compassion, and discernment of law in the present moment to render a judgment based on facts devoid of any other external influences. As true wisdom is reliant on the application of other skills first. Wisdom is correctly defined as the effect rather than the cause. So wisdom is what you do. Wisdom is the effect of what comes behind what you're doing. It's the effect coming from the knowledge. It's what's causing you to do what you do. Justice is the honor of best of living law. Hello? Hello? Yeah. Maybe acting like it don't. Sometimes it be wanting to go out. So when you go on here, this right here, it tells you all the laws. It tells you everything that they supposed to be doing. Freedom is a fictional form whereby a person is considered exempt from slavery or imprisonment. Freedom is equivalent to the concept of liberty, right? Contrary to being a superior fiction, freedom is an inferior fiction, offering limited respite. Under the voluntary servitude system of common law, freedom is considered a right or a privilege. Therefore, assuming the person is already considered property, and therefore in slavery. See, the reason why they're saying you already consider property is because they put you in a state of property. They put you in a state of a Roman person, and then treating you as the person rather than recognizing you as the living being, and then keeping you in a state of servitude to the person when the person is the actual entity and you are the living being. And they got you serving the person obligation. Freedom and slavery belong to the same system of slavery. The concept of freedom depends upon the existence and the practice of slavery, whilst the concept of slavery depends upon the concept of freedom, even if never granted, right? So, in order to have a slave, there must be a freedom. In order to be free, there must be a slave, right? In accordance with divine law and natural law, an object cannot own other objects. Only fictions can own other fictions, right? Therefore, the concept of freedom is null and void from the beginning, along with its twin concept of slavery, right? An object can't own another object, right? Rights are inherited legal or equitable societal property elements granted to members of a juridic society by virtue of a legal status. Legal rights are significantly different to equitable rights. Despite the two merely being listed as rights, equitable rights may equate simply to benefits and privileges granted to members of a society, juridic persons, or trusts that can be suspended by executors in their appointment and appointed trustees at will. Rights also refer to traditions and customs in many societies that privileges falsely presented as rights are generally suspended in the interest of maintaining fraud of perceived rights. There are no true legal rights of a person in common law, only privileges. So a legal person only has privileges. They don't have any rights. A privilege or a benefit is equitable society property entitlement granted to members of a juristic society by favor, birth, or condition. Unlike legal title or privilege or benefit may be revoked or suspended in range of circumstances despite the privilege being deliberately termed a right. Right? Slavery is a fictional form of combining morality, property, and commerce, whereby a man or a woman or a child may be considered legally more or morally property of another to be sold or disposed as property, and any injury to the slave as a commercial, not moral. So when they selling your identity, when you become property through your person and you're identifying as property, and then somebody else is acting as a owner and then selling you as property, selling your name back to you as property, and you buying your own name, paying for your own obligation. Slavery is without any valid moral foundation, as it falsely claims a divine right of ownership between objects, owning the objects which define all known divine law, natural law, and positive law. Slavery is without a valid commercial foundation, as it assumes a property right which can only originate from the owner of all things being divine, yet fail to properly prove lawful conveyance of these original claim rights. So it's saying that slavery is when somebody is claiming to be the owner of the property that generated from you, when you are the one that issued the lease, and then the due balances generated from when you issued it. So those properties are yours. So why are they collecting it like they own? Why are they billing you for your property, telling you to pay them what you own? Ain't that slavery? Wouldn't that be them putting you in a form of servitude in reference to property, assuming that they have an ownership over it because you gave a blank endorsement? So they assume that they have an ownership right, but really the property belongs to you. Unlike mandatory slavery, which has no more commercial foundation upon to every mount a claim, voluntary slavery in the form of common law does not identify the right of a man or a woman to consent to slavery as surety to a person against which some debt bond is issued. See what I'm saying? Like, what is that, man? Like, how you gonna just make me a surety to a person without even giving me full disclosure that I'm acting as surety? Matter of fact, you created some kind of Roman slave as my identity to make me misidentify with the true purpose of who I am. Right? Slavery in all forms, whether mandatory or voluntary, is abolished in accordance with these canons. And the sacred covenant, right? So right here, unlike mandatory slavery, which has no moral conscious foundation upon which to even mount a claim. Voluntary slavery in the form of common law. So this is what they're using. They're using voluntary slavery in the form of common law, right? Does identify the right of a man to consent to slavery as surety, right? To a person against which some debt bond is issued. So they made a Roman person using your name so that you can sign as surety for the person without knowing that the person is a legal entity separate from you, but given to you to act in the capacity of an agent to help that person or to settle that person's obligations for your benefit. Right? It's crazy. So we're dealing with equity. Any claim that increases equity is equivalent to increased claim or share of ownership, is deliberate and misleading fraud. If such a fraud was used as the basis of securing any agreement, then such an agreement is null and void from the beginning. To claim equity is to claim the lowest right of ownership, not the highest. Therefore, ownership of equity is the last party to be paid in any liquidation of an estate, only if assets remain. So why would I want to claim my case in equity? You're the last one to get paid, right? It says equity is to claim the lowest right of ownership. You got brothers got big following. They get on there like they Don Juan and got a million different likes and shares talking about equity. I sit back and I see all the love y'all give to other people as if they doing something spectacular. But then I get to show you that, hey, look, a lot of stuff they teaching you is incorrect. They telling you equity is the highest form of law, but I'm showing you that equity is the lowest right to ownership. In adjudication of agreements, disputes, and principles of equity is to consider the merits and the facts of the dispute without regards to implicit higher or lower claims of ownership. Hence, by treating both parties as equal, the principle of equity, right, necessarily seeks to invoke a form of justice of the law. So equity is just saying, like, be fair with me. All right. I just wanna settle fairly. Don't, but it's still the lowest claim of ownership. But it's action where you're asking for an equal judgment. Fair, right? The absence of equity, in particular courts of equity, denotes most clearly the absence of justice. All right, decisions of equity do not make the law, but assist in its proper interpretation, right? So when you're making equitable claims, you're basically saying that, hey, I'm asking for you to look at this in the way that it should be. Like, in order for there to be a crime, there has to be an injured party, and the prosecutor can't bring a claim on a legal person where a man is behind that legal identity and try to say that it's a crime when he know that a man is using that name, and that in order for that to be a real crime, there would have to be another man injured or another person injured, not a corporation, not a state, Missouri, and all of that stuff. All that's deceptive acts and practices perpetrating in order to deceive the public, in order to gain revenue and build, whatever they doing with all this fake fictitious money that they've been gaining over the years, manipulating these laws right here, knowing how to set things up in a way where they can hold titles and do things and operate in certain capacities and be able to outmaneuver some of these canon laws and stuff like that. Unless then they can get away with doing everything that they doing. Right? So you want to go in here, you want to read all of this, man. You want to go in here, you want to, all right? And that's pretty much it, man. I ain't gonna go go in too much, right? I ain't gonna go in too much, but the key thing in operating in this system is understanding all right, so let's look at, I'm gonna show you a thing real quick. Why you don't want an attorney? All right, the word lawyer is from late century, 16th century combined Latin word, right? Custom, to swear, to take an oath, to conspire. So a lawyer is somebody who's trying to conspire. He took an oath to conspire, meaning literally one who has shown an oath to customary law, right, of a private guild. Hence, the true and original meaning of lawyer is one who is authorized and licensed by a private guild of a bar to practice law, right? Therefore, no lawyer can be counseled without deliberately injuring the law and preventing the course of justice, right? Because he under a special license. The word attorn or attornment is from the 16th century, which combines the Latin word turno or turn round off, meaning to consent, right? Implicitly or explicitly, to transfer of a right. Hence, the word attorney means literally a person to whom rights have been transferred by consent. Implicitly or explicitly, therefore, an attorney can be counseled without deliberately injuring the law and preventing the course of justice. So when you get an attorney, you're turning over your rights. The word barster is from the combined word borrow, dunce, incompetent, store, stock, and stand firm, to be in position, meaning literally to stand, represent a dunce, incompetent. Hence, the meaning is a student of law of the private guild that has been called to the bar. Therefore, no barster can be counseled without deliberately injuring the law and preventing the course of justice. So that's why every time you get a lawyer, if you tell them that you want them to assign your interests, you want them to challenge the jurisdiction or anything to that level, they can't do it because they are not for justice. They for corruption. These are banksters. That's why all these banksters got lawyers. They got they little little crooks with them. All right, that's gonna bend and twist the law for them to help them get around they little deceptive acts and practices. Now you know why you gotta get rid of the lawyer. Make sure he don't even be able to speak in the courtroom. You a fraudster from the beginning. You can't even talk. You don't even know nothing. You don't have no firsthand knowledge of anything. But you want to come in and give statements like you are a party to the case. You just counsel. All you can do is whisper in his ear. You can't be giving no damn statement. See what I'm saying? A member of the bar, guilds, are lawyers, attorneys, and barsters. No member of a private bar guild can be counseled without deliberately injuring the law and preventing the course of justice. So, if a master is a barster, he's an attorney of law. The prosecuting attorney is a barster, right? So what we dealing with when we go into these courts? What are we dealing with? Crooks. Crooks. They ain't even supposed to be doing what they doing. These punks. Oh, we on y'all ass now, boy. Y'all ain't supposed to be in there. Oh, but you done messed up now. Because, see, all our people need is the knowledge. We are forced to reckon with. You've been putting us in an inferior status through Roman persons. You've been wearing titles and holding offices and giving yourself corporate institutions, non-profits, in order to hold a higher status of personage so that you can lord over me or have a, oh my God. So you thought so now you understand why they do everything they do. Pro se is the principle of law that one may advocate their own behalf before a court concerning a matter of controversy, for which they have been named as a party rather than commissioning another. The phrase pro se is Latin for one's own behalf, right? There are three forms of pro se, which one may choose to present themselves, being Roman person, existing as a man or a woman, or as a tribunal of superior person. Pro se, without any qualifications, is assumed to mean pro se in rem, which translate as for one's own profit, right? Or simply under the fulfillment of Roman court as a thing, and pro se in vivis, which translates into for one's own behalf, in one's own flesh and blood, which means one who attends or visits courts as a living flesh and blood man, claiming such fact and therefore outside the jurisdiction of the court, that cannot deal with anything but corporations and persons. Now listen, man, hype me up, man. Go hype the brother up, man, because I'm clowning today, man. I'm clowning today. Yeah, I'm a hype myself up. So you, hey, listen, Man, go get your cousin, sister, brother, cousin, nephew. Tell him, man, Isaiah dropping today, man. You gotta go tell him, man. Hey, man, we get down to the nitty gritty today, boy. We eating a full-fledged meal today. We on all of them today. You see what I'm saying? So the court can only deal with what? Oh, let's go again. Let's read it again. Pro se in vivis, which translates as one on behalf, one's own flesh and blood, which means one who attends or visits court as a living flesh and blood man. Woo! I keep trying to tell you, boy. Hey, listen, y'all keep saying, oh, they just be talking. Get on here now, give all your little nasty, little ugly comments about all the stuff ain't fake, it ain't real. Get on here now. Let me see your little nasty little comments now that I'm busting that falsehood up, that I'm breaking it down where my people can eat good off the lies you done told and all the information you done hid and sold. We got you now, boy. We on your ass now, boy. Yeah. Got him now. Come here. Get over here. Where do you think you going? You ain't going nowhere. I got you. Yeah, buddy. Now listen. Now, once you internalize this truth on this screen, I want you to live it. You got to make this truth reality because you know the truth now. You don't have to guess, assume, or think anymore. You got to live and become gnosis, true knowledge. You better not go into court without being a man or a living being. Pro se in triformis, which translate as for one's on behalf in 3. Form, persons, which means one who attends courts by claiming their live-born record from one heaven, and therefore the presence of a superior tribunal of a divine person, true person, and superior person contesting title and jurisdiction of an inferior Roman court. Live-born record. From one heaven. Refers to a document that records a person's birth and associated rights and property. It serves multiple legal functions, including certificate of title, recognizing ownership of an individual by the state. Certificate of property, acknowledging the individual as a property holder. Custody certificate, indicating that the individual is the custodian of the state. Second-class citizenship, recognizing the individual as a second-class citizen, which may imply limitations on their rights. These records are essential for establishing legal identity and rights. They are often include detailed information about the individual's biological and legal status. All right. So what is one heaven? Huh? What is one heaven? Right? When it talks about, hold up. We're going to get back to that. Let me get back where I was at. So when it's talking about right here, pro se, which translates from one on behalf in 3 form, persons, which means, so they're talking about the, like they say, the Spirit, the Holy Ghost, and whatever, but they break this down when they say 3, they're talking about 3 different statuses. that a person can operate under, right? The person, which means the one who attends court by claiming their live birth record from one heaven. So one heaven will be you claiming that you are a child of God. You claiming that you are born of heaven. You are born of the heavens, and you are a child of God, and that you are not flesh and blood. You are spirit. See what I'm saying? Or something to that degree. All right. Pro se is a choice and a right, not a privilege. However, where one chooses pro se in realm, the court has the right to establish a person through a swearing of oath, whereby the one who is pro se in realm is fully under the authority and jurisdiction of the court. To deny pro se is to deny the existence of law. Therefore, no order, ruling, sentence, or judgment from a court that denies pro se can be upheld as a lawful under any valid system of law. A court is not obligated to grant any special favors to one who chooses pro se rather than an ordinary advocate or agent. However, in the interest of justice, such consideration may be granted. You don't want an advocate or agent because you're turning over your rights if you do that. So you want to speak for yourself. One who chooses pro se is obligated to act and perform in a manner benefiting the advocate of the court, including appropriate professional dress, clean manner, and respect of due process. So it basically tells you everything. It lets you know what all your rights are, what you got to do, how you got to handle them, so you know that the lawyers ain't supposed to be in the court, that when you go in the kangaroo court, you're going in there now, you know that they not dealing with living persons. They're only dealing with corporations. They're trying to misconstrue the law, get you to come in there and accept being the person or your legal person, not substantiating your true existence, your true identity, claiming your identity as a man, disputing the legal identity as your lawful identity, and things like that, things that they trying to do. Basically, are you verifying that that legal identity represents a man and that none other, and that I'm a living flesh and blood man before you, standing before you, and that in order for you to have a crime against me, you must have an injured party. See, like stuff like that, like coming in and standing on your square. And then when they try to say, oh, well, and we move forward, I object, I challenge your jurisdiction. Until you can show me your authority, bring me a man or a woman in here, you ain't got no right to issue no orders today. And then you just shut up. You get to talking, oh, yeah, well, we're just going to put out a new court date. I object, like I said, I don't consent. Until you bring a man or woman in here, you lawfully don't have the authority to issue any orders. And you know what I'm saying? I'm demanding that basically you telling them that I don't consent. You don't have a contract with me. And unless you can show proof of a living man, then your actions are deceptive. If you're not identifying me as a man and you're not dealing with me as a man under natural law, then you are acting deceptively because you're dealing with flesh and blood before you. See what I'm saying? You got to stand in your truth. You got to become competent, superior in your person to be able to express that living will, that living existence that you have. Okay? Speak out. You see what I'm saying? Stop being afraid. You know what I'm saying? Challenge their jurisdiction. When you challenge jurisdiction, that means that anything that don't sound good to you, you object to it and say, I don't give consent. That's challenging jurisdiction. Jurisdiction meaning that they can't hear the case unless they prove their authority to. So if you're saying, I'm a man, I need an injured party, and they don't bring one in, then anything he say is objected to. I object. I don't consent. I still haven't received the injured party. I haven't received any authority showing your authority as a judge. I haven't received any document showing that this man is actually a prosecutor. I haven't received any information showing that this is actually a criminal proceeding and that we're in a criminal case. All I know is what you're trying to tell me, and that's hearsay until I get facts on the record. Until then, I challenge the jurisdiction. They ain't got none. They playing smoke and mirrors. These people been playing on your intelligence. They getting billions and billions off our ignorance. They going into court. That's why the stenographer and the clerk, that's why they be looking at you all funny, because they know their ass is on the line. Y'all committing fraud. Y'all done built $1 billion industry off lies. Y'all hid these laws right here because you didn't want us to know these laws. You didn't even want us to know of the Uticant society. You didn't want us to know of the one heaven. You never wanted us to know of these canons. You got us just reading the Bible and the Holy Quran and all this stuff, and you hid this. Oh, but we got you now, though. Oh, you can't run no more. Rest adjudicator, also known as double jeopardy, also known as preclusion of claim, and autoferous, whatever that is, an ancient principle of law whereby a case in which adjudicator was perfected is no longer subject to appeal, nor may the same case be brought again either in the same court or different court. Right? So it's basically showing you how you can use that and bring that in to show that they're doing double jeopardy by charging you for a case that's already been ruled that's invalid or you already beat or something to that degree. But I'm finna go ahead and get up out of here, man. It's been a pleasure. It's been always, like always, it's always a pleasure. It's always an honor to come before you guys and to share my knowledge, my wisdom, and information with you guys. I hope that this right here was very beneficial for you, man. I know I went over a lot of different things, but it was well worth it. This is definitely a document you must have. This is a document that you must study. You must study this every day because it's a lot of things in this document that you really need to have in your in your arsenal, because this right here is very powerful. And I think that everybody that's learning this information should have this. Just like you got that Bible, you need to have this book right here. I'm telling you. And I'll be back with more information, man. Y'all tune in. Thank you for your time. Peace and love. If you like to get any of our services, if you need anything that we have here at Building Better Minds, please feel free to reach out to us at buildingbetterminds.info for any information, for any learning material or anything that we have that can benefit you. As time go on, you're going to start to realize that we over here are giving out true, accurate information. We're not just speaking about it. We're actually proving to you and to the world that what we are saying is true, correct, accurate, complete, and it is not misleading at all. Salute to the